And nobody got time for that. But your boys gotcha. That's why I woke up at 6 a.m. on 2 hours of sleep on Saturday and 5 a.m. on Sunday getting 5 hours of sleep so I can tell you what to skip and what to watch. The big notes for anyone that wants a 10-second overview: there's Squadron 42 gameplay, Star Citizen 1.0 overview including Basebuilding and org-owned space stations, 2 new star systems in Terra and Castra, dynamic weather systems, amazing looking new biomes, and well, there's lots more, so let's go. First up, Squadron 42. This is the single player game being made alongside Star Citizen. They've shown old gameplay years ago, but they beefed it up last year and said the game is in polishing phase. This can take some time, but they showed us the full 1 hour and 16-minute prologue. The game crashed twice, had a couple visual hiccups, but overall ran pretty great. Kojima would be jealous as over 70% of the prologue was cutscenes. Full link to the video below in the description. They showed off some new biomes that honestly looked sexy AF. River Guy came up to show off how they changed how they render trees and stuff, and that trees grow where they grow because of soil and shade and other plant competition and some other systemic stuff. Long story short, plants exist where they should and can be more dense. This gives way for places like jungles and redwoods, plus some wet swamps in case you want to get your redneck game on. After that, they showed off some gorgeous new dynamic clouds that shift based on the weather, and showed a storm front working in game. Check the chapters below if you want to skip this and get to the next update.
We can start to see the changes in visibility of the area. Light precipitation is starting. Previously, we authored static cloud shapes, but no longer. We didn't manually place a volume here. Its presence has been informed by Genesis data. Oh, and it's not just a cloud volume. It's a weather front. Now we're trying to see the wind picking up. Terrain and rocks are getting wet. Vegetation, grass, and the overall environment are responding to the weather. The system is changing the world around us. We can see puddles being formed dynamically in the dirt, properly responding to light, reflections, and rain droplets, making it getting really ominous and loud in here. I can feel the danger. I think we should let this play out in the game.
We need to leave now. Get back here. I'm getting out of this suit now. Powering up, flying out. We'll need to switch to IFR. See you on the other side.
Next was laying out what Star Citizen needs for launch, or a 1.0. I recommend checking this segment in full, but long story short, the goal is to fit in PvE players, PvP players, and players who are just chilling like role players and people just wanted to build a base. They outlined examples of full complete gameplay loops and how they intend players to find and use resources. Orgs will be able to craft space stations using the Pioneer. They can have modules that do different things like hangars or cargo docks, and you'll be able to make capital ships with the space stations. In the same vein, they covered how Pyro will have its own org-run territory system based off planet shields you can take over with a token system. This will be cool for larger groups, but solo players out there are going to find it a tough time. On launch, they're going to have 5 systems: Stanton, Pyro, Nyx, Castra, and Terra, which I imagine is why they went ham on the biome stuff earlier. Again, I recommend you go check the actual full segment on this because it was really interesting stuff seeing the higher level thinking that they're doing. This, of course, moves us on to crafting pretty nicely. Resources will have a quality factor that determines the stats an item gets when you go to craft it, so exploration becomes a key factor to crafting. This creates a nice long loop that will make sure not everyone is doing it, only those who want to specialize in crafting and spend the time in it. Blueprints bring that even further, being found found in a few ways, like through loot or as rewards from missions or guilds. Guilds will play a big role in Star Citizen on launch. Blueprints are tied to your character and non-tradable, making you valuable to other players and your time invested worthwhile instead of the things you find. This is kind of cool because it guarantees players that don't want to deal with PvP have some stuff to do and are still useful to PvPers. For base building, you'll find a floating workbench to place blueprints in an area. They actually showed some light in-game functionality, which surprised me to be honest, but it was super basic and nowhere near ready for players to use. Items have a 1 to 3 tier system for stats, but vehicles are 1 to 5. A level 2 will always have better stats than a level 1, no matter the quality of the materials you input. If you own a ship, you'll be able to upgrade some stats after the fact, so don't worry. You unlock these tiers by doing research, which is time-sensitive tasks, furthering your value to other players based on your time investment. Also, food can be tiered. I'm ready to dish out some tier 3 glizzies. Speaking of, look at this hot dog-shaped guy. The sandworm is back, now as a raid boss. You have to summon it by driving a ground vehicle around to piss it off, and work together to mess it up. It's super strong, it goes back into the ground to cry to its mom after you mess it up for a bit. You need to use the ground vehicle again to get his ass back to the surface, then mess him up some more. You can then desecrate the poor boy's body and harvest his innards for crafting loot. They want to bring more monster hunting to the verse, and here's some more monsters that they want. This guy can stay in concept. Fuck that. Nightmare shit. That's the stuff that I thought was honestly the coolest, and a lot of other stuff wasn't even shown in-game, which a lot of people are probably going to interpret that, yeah, it's going to be a while before Star Citizen comes out, but here's a rapid fire of some other interesting things. There's going to be specialization with armor sets, giving you perks based on the full sets that you're wearing. They created a system for more varied outposts and outposts that feel less lonely, so there's often stuff to come across in exploration. New social quality of life stuffs like linking the Moby Glass with Spectrum, being able to block players, find parties, do ready checks for missions, customize chat windows, link items, missions, and players in chat. VoIP and VoIP are better, trust systems for beacons, including players' histories of failed and successful beacons, leaderboards for beacons, and events calendar for orgs, loyalty bonuses through guilds, org decals, and factions. You can now wear armor and civilian clothing at the same time, no need for an undersuit. Honestly, this is super sick for literally everyone, but especially role players and people doing machinima. They lightly mentioned pets while talking about NPCs being able to not see in the dark, and they also said NPCs can use anything, even player vehicles, for cover, which actually was kind of dope. Now we just need server meshing to make sure that they can actually do the calculations. They added speed of sound, so sniper shots will hit you before you hear them.
Shockwave and the explosion itself.
And things will have a Doppler effect as you move towards or away from them. The guide system from the website is now actually built into the game, and orgs can create alliances with each other. Again, I skipped some super small stuff here because I'm on 8 hours total sleep the past few days and crushed this video out for everyone that wanted the big important stuff that they may want to go back and check on. Link for the broadcast is down below. I hope this helped, and if it did, show me my pain was worth it with a sub or a like, or treat me to dinner and join the channel to get emotes and access to videos early. Now I'm going to bed.